So, back to the book. To accustom soldiers to carry burdens is also an essential part of discipline. Recruits in particular should be obliged frequently to carry a weight of not less than 60 pounds, exclusive of their arms, and to march with it in the ranks. This is because on difficult expeditions, they often find themselves under the necessity of carrying their provisions as well as their arms. Nor will they find this troublesome when inured to it by custom, which makes everything easy. Boom. There you go. Wear the gear that you're going to fight with. Get used to it.
Get used to it.
I used to talk about this with like discipline equals freedom. The whole idea of it. I'd say if you have the discipline to wear your gear all the time, then you'll have freedom of movement when you need it.
Right.
You know? And I kind of felt like that was a stretch. Does that seem like a stretch?
Well, no, not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Just kind of pull it back into the non-stretch zone.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because like, okay, so you have all your gear on, right? And Jody Middick was kind of talking about this, I think, when he was like, oh man, like it was just a pain in the ass to wear and all this stuff. That feeling, that's a real feeling. Yeah. Man, this is a pain. All this gear, this is digging into my, or I'm not used to it or kind of thing. But man, you get a guy who's really used to it, but that's not even a factor. Not even a factor. He's free from that.
There's two things that happens. Number one, you get used to it. Number two, you figure out your gear so that your gear works properly.
Yeah, so it's like, you can.
Because your gear, when you first put it on, no matter, you could go to the best gear store in the world and you buy gear and it's not going to fit you quite right. You're going to have to make little modifications. You have to adjust it. You have to put the weight somewhere else. Now, in football, you wouldn't always wear your gear in practice, right?
It was pretty designated, like depending on the day, So, 2 days you have full gear, 2 days you have just helmets and shoulder pads or whatever. But yeah, you wore what you were supposed to. Some guys would like maybe not wear their mouthpiece or something like that, but it'd be rare. I think in the NFL, like they won't wear their thigh pads or their hip guards.
And that's just because it's a pain?
I don't know. I can't really speak for. I know that guys who run a lot, and if you take out your thigh pads and your like hip protectors and stuff, it helps you run for sure. But you run that risk.
Then you should train with it.
You should train with it. But here's the thing, though. If there's a rule, because some guys even in the game they just won't wear it. They just simply won't wear it. But you do run the risk of, like, if you get what's called a hip pointer, there's an injury called a hip pointer. It's basically your external obliques. They kind of overlap your hip bone, right? And when a helmet or something hits that and crushes your external oblique against your hip bone, it's called a hip pointer. And it's a debilitating, painful injury, the kind where even in everyday life you're out of the game. You're out of the game, and I've had it before. So hip protectors will help against that. So you run that risk, so it's up to you, man. I mean, I think in college, I know in high school it's a rule. You got to wear a hip protector. But I think in the NFL you don't have to.
Well, that's good. I think the overall point is, and it sounds like the football was on board with it, train how you fight.
Yeah, wear the gear.
Train how you fight.
But it's tough too, though, and this goes for any contact situation, even obvious and really in the military, but it's almost like so obvious in the military that it's a given, where you can't train exactly how you fight, Yeah,
so you can't shoot each other.
Yeah, and exactly right. So it's, like I said, really obvious.
I used to tell guys that. I used to be like, hey, unfortunately, I'd be like, unfortunately, I can't put guys out here to actually kill you and you do the wrong thing.
Like you really want that. Yeah. Like same thing for football, as it turns out, where you can't just have guys going live 5 days a week,
giving somebody hip pointers or
all day. Yeah.
Actually, so he goes on to talk about, he talks about some slack here, going back to the book, but negligence and sloth, having by degrees introduced a total relaxation of discipline, the soldiers began to think their armor too heavy, as they seldom put it on. They first requested leave from the emperor to lay aside the cuirass and afterwards the helmet. In consequence of this, our troops in their engagements with the Goths were often overwhelmed with their showers of arrows. So there you go. You start taking that little shortcut. And I like how he says it's by degrees. Like, no one just wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to be weaker now.
Yeah. I'm over this whole thing.
They just start to decay just a little bit.
Yeah.
Take a little shortcut.
Yeah.
Here's a workout. A workout tip. Jocko's workout tips. I'm serious. This is like something that goes through my head. when I'm doing some exercise, let's say it's squat day, and let's say it's I'm doing the 20 rep squats, which is just painful.
Yes.
And I have that thought in my head where sometimes, I'll be like, oh man, you know what? I'll just do 16 today. And that's pretty good. Because, I worked really hard yesterday and I'm kind of tired.
And you're still doing
and I'm still doing, at least I did them. Yeah. And you know what? Blah, 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 blah. And when I hear myself saying that, I always think like that's the first step down the slippery slope to decay. And I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I'm not going to do it.
Have you ever skipped it? Come on, be real.
Have you ever what?
Have you ever skipped it? Like, those doubts, not doubts, but those thoughts of, hey, let me slack. Not skipping workout. I mean, have you ever given in?
The only time where I've been like, you know what, I'm not finishing this workout is like I'll hurt something.
Oh, and that's way different.
And I've done it where I haven't done that. That's a lesson learned. Like I remember one time I was squatting and I like felt a little, you get a little twinge in your back.
Yeah.
I got one of those and then I kept going and then I was debilitated. I was like, not good. But generally, because it's this, that's why I'm saying this. Like that little conversation right there is a good conversation to have with yourself. Because I think about that little, you just give that little bit of slack that time.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
Yeah.
It's like that just, in my mind, I'm thinking that leads to more slack right there.
It does.
That leads to a little bit more slack next time. Because next time you're going to feel that way at 15 reps instead of 16.
Yeah, because you've even if it's subconsciously, you established a new little precedent, which is kind of adjusts the standard
okay to
just a little bit. Yes, exactly. So it's like it's different if you're undefeated. Right, if you're undefeated, you're either undefeated or you're not undefeated, kind of thing. Once you're defeated, then you're kind of like, okay,
let it sneak in there.
Yeah,
that's part of you now.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm defeated straight up. Oh my god, I do the Metcon at the end. I live and do Metcon, and it's good. And I'll say straight up, I'll be honest that it doesn't happen very often. I mean, I talk a lot of trash with her, but it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But there's times where I'll be like, that workout was pretty solid. I'll make deals.
That
with
makes
myself,
me mad. That makes me mad, and I don't like that.
Actually, hanging with you made me gave me that mindset, which is a mindset I simply did not have.
Go deathcore on that thing.
No, but how you said it makes you mad. Like I never had that feeling.
Yeah.
Never had that feeling like, oh, why does it make me? I just never thought of it that way ever. Like not even a little bit. Didn't even consider thinking it that way. But now, when I feel it, like, oh, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I really don't feel. I actually have that response where you kind of get mad at it.
Yeah.
At yourself, kind of thing. It's like you're split into two people.
That's a positive thing. Actually.
It is. It helps. Red helps so much.
That's the deathcore right there.
Straight up.
Check. All right. Let's see.